the lecture for week 1 in Math 1324 class. In week 1, we're going to review from college algebra, and the material we're going to cover is about functions and applications in functions. So the first question we're going to work out and you're going to talk about, and some of those questions, they have the solutions, but I'm going to explain everything. So the first question is, we have a function given. This is the function f of x equals, this is my function, and the domain is given also. And you have to find what is f of 6, f of 0, f of -5. So recalling from college algebra, if you have given equation of the function, finding the value of the function 6, 0, -5 is just copy the function and plug it in, replace x with the given numbers. Now, because we have the domain from 0 to infinity, and that interval doesn't include the 0, so starting right after 0 all the way to infinity is the domain, that means the x's have to be only in that interval. So the first example is f of 6. So we're going to copy the function x minus 1 over x squared. This is the function. And you replace x with 6, and then calculator, and this is the answer. 215 over 36 divided by 36. The answer should be submitted like that, like a fraction. So we don't simplify more, just leave it like that. Okay, so just plug that in the calculator and the answer is 215 over 36. The next one is f of 0. F of 0, when x is 0, looking at the domain, x equals 0, it's outside of the domain. So that's why the function is undefined. The same way with -5. The next one, f of -5. We cannot plug x -5 because the domain, the x's, the possible x's for these functions are after 0 to infinity. So again, it's going to be undefined. So that's how you do number 1. For number 2, we have another evaluating a function. This is the function now. X squared plus 3x plus 5. We need to find f of 0, f of -3, f of a, f of x plus h. So what you're doing here, copy the function and replace x with 0. That's how we get 5. Every time you plug number, make sure you put it in parentheses. The same way with f of -3. So we have -3 in parentheses squared plus 3 times -3 plus 5. When you put all this in the calculator, all this goes in the calculator, you should get 5 again. The next one is f of a. So in this case, we're just going to replace x with a, and this is your answer. All of this is going to plug it, it's going to be answer, it's going to be submit in web assign. A squared plus 3a plus 5. That's the whole answer. The last question we have is f of x plus h. So in this case, we're just replacing x with x plus h. So we're going to copy the function and replace this is the x plus h square plus 3 times x plus h is the function, is the replacing x, and plus 5. So just copy the equation, and that's how you plug the answer. You don't need to simplify anymore. You don't need to simplify, just leave it like that. Okay, so that's how you do, and the answer should be only the final result you get. 5 for the first one, 5 for the second one. All this is the answer for the third one, and all this is expression is the answer for the last one. Okay, that's how you do number 2. Just plug it in, replace x. The next one is the same way. So we have function p, and you just have to plug it in, replace the x. So the first one is p of 0. So I'm going to copy the function. This is my function. The given function is 1 over x plus 5. And replace x with 0, so you get 1 over 0 plus 5, which gives us 1 over 5. That's your final answer, 1 over 5. The next one is f of -6. So again, the same function, replace x with -6. Put it in the calculator, and the answer is -1. The next one, we're plugging in, replacing x with x squared. So whatever it's in the parentheses is going to replace x in the original function. So we're going to get 1 over x squared plus 5, and that's the final answer. You don't do anything here. The next example, we have to replace x with x squared plus 1. So again, you copy the original function, you replace x with x plus 1, and the only thing you can simplify here is add 1 plus 5, which gives us 6. And this is how you're going to leave the final answer. Okay, the last one is you're replacing x with x squared, but then in the end, after you do that, you're going to add 1. So the difference between the last two questions is the first one, x squared plus 1 is going to replace x. The second one is x squared is replacing x, and you're adding 1 in the end of the function. So this is what you're doing. You copy the original function. Whatever you see x, you put x squared plus x squared, and then that becomes 1 over x squared plus 5, and then just put plus 1 in the end. So the difference between those two is the first, the one above here, this one. You're replacing x with x squared plus 1. The second one, you're replacing x with x squared only, and then you're adding 1 in the end. So plus 1 is outside of the function. Okay, so that's how you do number 3. Number 4 is simplifying. They give us the function. So the given function is 5x minus 1. And we have to find the different quotient. So this expression here, or this expression, is called different quotient. And before that, we have to simplify. I have to do this first, this step first. So I have to do f of x plus h minus f of x. And how you do that? You're doing it step by step. So the first step is you're going to get what is f of x plus h. So that means I copy the function, and you replace the x with x plus h. So this is what you have. 5x plus h minus 1. Then the next one is, the next part of it is, I have to do minus f of x. So we have the minus in the middle. See, the minus is in the middle, minus. And then in the parentheses, I have to copy the original function, which is 5x plus 1. So the original function is 5x minus 1. 5x minus 1 is the original. So you copy the function, replace x with x plus h, minus copy the original, and then simplify. I do the parentheses here. So multiply 5 times x, 5 times h. That's how we get here, minus 1. And then we distribute the negative, so it's going to be minus 5x, and then minus 1 give us plus 1. This plus 1 here. And then after that, you combine like terms, you simplify. So you have 5x minus 5x cancel out, 0. Negative 1 plus 1 give me also 0. So the only piece left is 5h. So this is your final answer, 5h. So the answer for the first part of this question is 5h. Now the second part is going over this different quotient. So you have f of x plus h minus f of x over h. Now, f of the top of this fraction, we already did it. So the top of the fraction is 5h. We get it from the step before, over h. And here just simplify, cancel the h, and the final answer is going to be 5. So that's how you do the different quotient. The next question is number 5. And we have all these different functions given. We have function f, g, h, u, v, all the functions. They give us the function, they give us the domain of all the functions. And what you need to do is we need to find the function q, which is v over g. And also you have to replace x with 3. But we'll do that later. So first, we're gonna write the equation. That's what A says. Write the formula for the indicated function Q. So which one is Q? Q is V over G. So I'm gonna say take the V, which is this one, over G, which is this one. So what you're doing, you just copy, which is square root of 28 minus 4, over copy G, which is x minus 3, and this is your final answer. You just leave the function, the equation like that. You don't do anything else after that. Okay? That's how you do it. And the next part of it, you have to find the function's domain. So here we have this function, we just get a square root over x minus 3. So we're going to use the domains for both of the functions, which combine give us the function Q. So the top function, the top of this fraction function has domain. Let's look at it. V, the domain is from 0 to 28. This is the domain for the top function. So the top is from 0 to 28. Come on. Now the bottom function, the denominator, x minus 3 has domain all real numbers, right? Negative infinity, infinity. But because x minus 3 is in the bottom, the denominator cannot be 0. So that gives us additional restriction for this new function we get. And the additional restriction is the bottom of the fraction cannot be 0. And you're doing that the way we did it in algebra. You take the bottom, solve it equals 0. So we're solving x minus 3. The bottom of the new function we get, the q, x minus 3 is not equal 0. And then how you solve that? You add 3 in both sides, so you get x is not equals 3. Now the restrictions, those two restrictions we get from 0 to 28 and also x not equal 3. So this restriction, when you combine them, you're going to get the domain. And this is how you combine them. I have the answer here. This is the answer. But this is how you combine them from 0 to 28. So you're looking at the number line. You have 0 is here in the beginning. And then we have 28. That's where you're going to finish. And also we have x is not 3. So 3 is somewhere in the middle. So you're going to exclude the 3, not equals 3. And that's how you get the two intervals from 0 to 3, union 3 to 28. So all this is the domain for the new function we get, which is the one there, square root of 28 minus x over x minus 3. So that's how you find the domain of the new function we get. You combine the domain for the square root, and also because you have a fraction, the bottom cannot be 0. The next question, we have to find the value of the function when x is or a equals 3, which means x equals 3. Sorry. So what you're doing, because the domain is from 0 to 3 and 3 to 28, you can't plug it in 3 there. Because if you replace x with 3 in this function, see what's happening in the bottom. You have x minus 3. So when you plug it in 3, 3 minus 3 is going to be 0. Divided by 0 is undefined. That's why the value of that point 3 is undefined. You can divide by 0. That's why. Okay? So that's how you do the last one. And then the next two questions are about the word problems, the application. So we're just going to read the question and solve it. So looking at number 6, I deleted 6 so I can do it again, and 7 is the same way. So number 6, we have a soccer field, rectangular, has the sides. So we have, let me draw a picture. We have rectangular soccer field. We have the length and the width of this soccer field. And we know that the length is equal to 1.5 times the width. So if the width is, so let's see, find the area in terms of the length x. So the length is x, and the width, length is equal, so we have length equals 1.5 is 3/2, 3/2 of the width. Okay, so now I know the length is x, and I can find the width. So we have x equals, let me just make a little more room here. Second. Little more room so I can write. So the x, because the length is x, equals 3/2 times the width. And if I want to get the width, because I don't know what is the width, I can multiply both sides of this equation by reciprocal 3/2, which means I'm multiplying both sides by 2/3. Both sides. So that will give me 2/3x equals 2/3 times 3/2 times the width. This cancel, so I get the width equals 2/3 of x. I'm gonna write it here. So now the width is 2/3x. One side of this rectangular soccer field is 2/3x, and the other side is x. And then what you need to do is find the area. So the formula for the area is usually length times width. So I'm gonna have the area of any rectangular box. It's length times width. So I'm just gonna plug it in the two sides. The length was x, and the width is 2/3x. And then when I multiply those two, it's gonna be 2/3 x squared, because x times x is x squared. And this is my final answer. So this is a function which is in terms of the length is x. Here just have to be careful which one is x, length or width. The x is the length, and that's the final answer. So the area is 2/3 x squared. That's the answer we get for the area. So this is a formula expressing the area in terms of x, and x represents the length of that soccer field. Okay, that's the final answer. The next one is absolutely the same way. But here instead of soccer field, we have a cabbage patch has a total area. So here we have rectangular shape again. The total area is 120 square feet. We have to find the perimeter in terms of the width is x. So here's the picture. We have the length and the width, the area, like this. This is the rectangular shape here, right? So now we're going to use the formula for the area. So the area is length times width. So I have 120 equals length times width is x. And then if I divide both sides by x, I'm going to cancel the x and the x. So the length is 120 over x. So this here is 120. Just the numbers are different. Over x. And then they want us to express the perimeter. So the perimeter for any rectangular shape is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. So this is the formula I have here. The perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. But I know the width is x. So it's going to be 2 times L, the length, plus 2x. And then you just replace the x is 120 over x. So replace the length is 120 over x. So I have 2 times 120 over x plus 2x. 2 times 120 give me 240 over x plus 2x. And this is the final answer. So this is the formula for the perimeter expressed in terms of x if the area is 120 square feet. Okay, So that's how you do in this question. This is application. All the word problems, they call applications. Okay, the next one is number 8. And in number 8, I put some formulas here for you. We have to find the cost of renting tuxes for a something society form. Coral Society's formal is $15 down. So you're paying that down once, plus $80 per tux. Express the cost as a function of x, which x represents the number of tuxedos rented. So here the formula for cost function in general is fixed cost plus variable cost times x. So this is the formula for any cost function we're going to work with. So we have fixed cost is what you paid once. So here we're paying $15 once. So that's why I have the answer right here. $15 is the fixed cost plus $80 per tux give me that's called variable cost, which is the cost for every unit, every one of those tuxedos you're renting. So that's why it's going to be 80 times x. So that's the function here, which is fixed cost plus variable cost times x. So that's the final answer. 15 plus 80x. That was number 8. And then it says use this one to answer those questions. What is the cost of renting 2 tuxedos? So if you're renting 2, that means x is going to be 2. Actually, let me move this down so I can have everything in one place. There you go. So when x is 2, I'm just going to plug it in this function 2. So it's going to be 15 plus 80 times 2. So that gives me 175. That's the answer. $175 is going to cost me to rent 2 of those tuxedos. Now, if they're asking also what is the cost of the second tux. So the first one is 80, the second one is going to be 80, the third one is going to be 80. All of those are going to be 80. So that's why the answer here is the variable cost, 80. Now, what is the cost of renting the 4,098 tux? So it doesn't matter if you're renting one, the first, the second, the third, all of those, each of those is 80 again. The variable cost is also 80 because that's the cost per each of those different tuxedos. And they're asking for the fixed cost is going to be 15 because that's what you're paying only once. And the marginal cost, so marginal cost is another term in finite math. It's like application, business application. Marginal cost means variable cost pretty much. So the marginal cost is going to be 80 also. Okay, so those are the answers for number 10. Oh, actually not 10, this was number 8. Sorry, let me delete that. I just moved them down. So that was number 8. Okay, from the handout. Next one is number 9. And number 9 has another application. We have to read this again. So let me kind of different. Okay, so this is the number 9. And we have whatever society here, it's at some university is planning annual fundraising. And the society will charge students 91 cents per serving of pasta. The only expenses the society will incur is the cost of the pasta, which is 19 cents per serving. And $360 is going to cost the rent of the facility for the event. Okay, so first you have to write down the associated cost function in dollars. So some of the prices are given in cents, some of the prices are given in dollars. Because it says in dollars, you have to change that 90 cents, 19 and 91 cents in 0 point in dollar amount. Okay, so pay attention to that. So what is the cost function? That's what we just talked about. Cost function is fixed cost plus variable cost times x. So what is the fixed cost? The fixed cost is you're paying once $360 plus, this is your answer, 19 cents is going to be the cost to buy the pasta. So it's going to be 0.19x. That's the cost function. The next one they're asking is find the revenue function. The revenue function is when you sell it. So the cost is how much it's going to cost you, what are the expenses for you. The revenue function is how much you're going to get when you sell it, okay? And the function for the revenue is the cost you sell in each of those multiplied by x. It's really simple formula. So here what you have, we're selling the pasta, each serving is 91 cents. Multiplying it by x is my revenue function. That's it. The next one, the next question they're asking is find the profit function. So this is the formula for the profit. The profit is revenue minus cost. So the profit is pretty much if I produce something and then sell it, what's going to be left for me? So you take that, get that profit when you get all the income you get, which is the revenue. So from the revenue, the money you get, you're going to subtract the cost to produce it, and that's going to be your profit. So here, the revenue minus cost, what you're doing, you're just going to copy the revenue function, which is 0.91x minus, copy the cost function, this one. Because it's minus, you need to make sure you put parentheses after the minus. And then we're going to simplify this. We're going to do the parentheses and simplify. So we're going to get 0.91x minus 360, and then minus 0.19, minus and plus give me minus. Then you combine 91 minus $0.19. When you subtract those 19 point, which is 19 cents, or 91 minus 19 give me 0.72, and then minus 360. So after you simplify, this should be the final answer for the profit function. Okay? So revenue minus cost give me the profit. The next one is how many servings of pasta they must sell to break even. Break even is a term in a business also, which means profit is zero or revenue equals cost. So that break even means whatever money you spend for producing something, you get it back. Okay, so you're even. You didn't earn a penny more. Okay, everything is even. So how you do that? You can solve profit equals zero, or you can solve revenue equals cost. Doesn't matter. In this case, I did profit function equals zero. So I get the profit function from above. This is the profit function, which is 0.72x minus 36. I solve it equals zero. How you do that? You add 36 in both sides. We get this equation. Then when I divide by 0.72, I get x equals 500. So what that means, if you produce 500, if you produce and sell 500 pasta servings, you're going to be even. You're not going to lose money. You're not going to gain money. You're going to be break even. Okay. The next one is they're asking what is the profit or the loss result from the sale of 1,500 servings of pasta. So what that means, you replace x with 1,500 in the profit function, because they're asking what is the profit, not what is the cost, not what is the revenue. They're asking what is the profit. What profit? So you're using the profit function, this one over here, and replace x with 1,500, 1,500. So I have 0.72 times 1,500 minus 360, and that gives me $720. It's going to be my profit. So I'm going to have profit because it's a positive number. If I get negative number, then I'm going to have loss. I'm going to lose money if the profit is negative. Okay? So this is how you do number 9. The next one, number 10 and number 11, it's about equilibrium price. And this is another business terminology and business approach. When you sell something, you have demand for selling and demand and supply. So in these two cases, you're going to have, let's start with number 10 only first. And then 11 is going to be the same way. So let me explain. So here we have the demand for handmade skateboards is given with this equation. So the first equation here, this equation, is the demand equation. So that means this is how many skateboards are going to be needed in the market, okay? This is the demand. This is how many people. So Q represents the quantity, how many skateboards. P in this formula represents the price of selling it. So how much you're selling the skateboard. So this is called demand equation. Q represents the quantity, how many skateboards you're going to sell, and P is how much you're going to sell it for, each skateboard. And looking at the equation, it's again linear equation, okay? Now, the next equation is about supply equation. Supply is how much you're going to supply the market with. And this is the equation for the supply. Also have P and Q. P is the price of selling each skateboard, and Q is the quantity you're going to supply, how many skateboards are going to be available to buy, okay? And what price, they're asking what price should you sell your skateboard for, so that there is neither shortage or surplus. So what that means? So finding the price, so that means you need to find P equals what price you should sell it. So whatever you supply is going to be, they're going to buy it. Everything is going to be out of market, okay? They're going to sell it. So when the demand equals the supply, that's how you do the equilibrium price. That's how you find the equilibrium price. When the demand and the supply are equal to each other, the two equations from the demand and the equation from the supply, when you solve them equal to each other, and that's going to give you the price to sell to be it's something like break even, but it's called equilibrium price. What is the price of the demand and the supply are equal to each other? Now you have shortage when there's more demand than supply. So there people want to buy it, but there's shortage in the market, there's no supply. That's when you have shortage, and surplus is when you have more supply than demand, okay? So now, how you do that? You solve negative 5p plus 700 equals 5p minus 500. So technically you solve this equation equals this equation. You solve them equal to each other. You move the 5p in the other side, you add 5p. So that gives me 700 equals 10p because 5 plus 5 here give me 10p. Minus 500, you just solve in linear equation. You add 500 and you get 700 plus 500 is 1200. That's how you get the 1200 equals 10p. Divide both sides by 10 and p equals $120. So what that means, if I sell each skateboard $120, then the demand is going to be equal to the supply and you're going to have equilibrium price. Okay? So that's number 10, and number 11 is similar. Here we have again, we have this is the first one is the demand, the second equation is the supply. Also the two equations, you solve them equal to each other and you find a P. So absolutely the same way. But here they're not talking about skateboards, it's about cell phones. So pretty much the same idea. Now here we have additional question they're asking you. So for number 11, they're asking, so that was A, equilibrium price the same way. B, they're asking the actual wholesale price was 48. So instead of the price 53, so if you sell the cell phones for 53, it's going to be equilibrium. Whatever you supply is going to be gone. It's going to be sold. But here they're saying if you sell the phones for $48 instead of 53, we need to estimate the projected shortage or surplus at that price. So you need to decide, this is what you need to pick. Is it shortage or surplus? And this is how you know. You're going to use the equation for the supply. You're going to use the equation for the demand, and you're going to plug it in 48. So first starting with the supply. So this is the equation for the supply, right? The supply is right here. 9p minus 354. So it's going to be 9 times 48, because that's the price right now, 48. Minus 354, and that's in the calculator is going to give me 78. And then using the same way, using the equation for the demand. The equation is over here, negative P plus 176. So plug it in 48 again. So it's going to be negative 48 plus 176 give me 128. So the supply is going to be 78. It's in million phones, but 78. The demand is going to be 128. And because the demand is bigger than the supply, looking at the numbers, 128 is bigger than 78. Because the demand is bigger than the supply, that's why you're going to have shortage. If the demand is less than the supply, then you're going to have surplus. Okay? And then what is the shortage? The shortage is going to be when you subtract the two numbers, and that gives me 50 million phones. So that's what you're going to put for answer. 50. So I'm just going to put 50 in your answer box there. Okay? So that's how you know if you have shortage or surplus. You just have to find the quantity for supply, quantity for the demand, and whatever is bigger, you decide if it's shortage or a surplus. Okay? Number 12, it's another application. And it's also about supply and demand, so pretty much similar idea, the same idea. Let me just make it the same page. Try to do it in the same page. Okay, there you go. So here we have the demand is given. So this is the demand for this. This company's e-reader. So we're talking about e-reader. So this is the equation here for the demand, and this is the equation for the supply, right? So now, what you have given here, P, the price is between 60 and this is the price, between 60 and 400. So keep that in mind. So if they're asking you what is the price of something, whatever they're asking, if it's about the price always should be between 60 and 400, okay, for both of those, for the demand and for the supply. So first one there, we need to find the equilibrium price, equilibrium demand. So what you're doing here, we're solving the same way. The supply equals the demand. So these are the two equations, solving to equal to each other. Screen. So I have the demand and the supply equal to each other. Now, if you add one in both sides, one is going to cancel. Both of those equations have -1, -1. Then we're multiplying both sides by P. So P and P cancel up and down because you have fraction. That's why I multiply by P. This is algebra. So I'm going to get 780 equals 0.019 P squared, because P times P, when you multiply 2P, give me P squared. Then after that, you're going to multiply P, both sides. You want to get P squared by itself. So you're going to divide both sides by 0.019. So when you divide 780 divided by this number, so when you divide this, you're going to get this number, 41,000 and this. And then P squared is this. So if I want to get P by itself, I'm going to do the square root in both sides. So square root of 41,052.6 something, give me 202.61, and that's going to be my price, equilibrium price. Okay? So now, so that's the equilibrium price. That's what they ask in the first answer here. What is the equilibrium price? We got it here. And the second equation is, what is the equilibrium demand? So now I'm going to take the demand equation, which is the first one. In that equation, 780 over P minus 1, I'm going to plug it in P. It's going to be 202.61. And then I'm going to simplify all this in the calculator. And that gives me 2.849. Make sure you round up. So my answer is going to be 2.85 million e-readers per year. Okay? That's how you do that. And the next one is estimate to the nearest 0.1. The surplus or the shortage of e-readers if the price is set up to be 74. So now we're going to use the price is 74. You're going to plug it into the supply equation. You're going to plug it into demand equation and see which one is bigger. So when I put it in the supply, we get $0.04 million, not dollars, readers. When I put it in the demand, just simplify it, we get 9.5 million. And then in this case, also the demand is bigger than the supply. So that means we have shortage of 9.1 million. So you're just going to subtract those two numbers and that gives me 9.1. So this is how you put the answer. It's going to be shortage. You're going to pick shortage and 9.1 is the shortage for this question. Okay. That's how you do number 12. Now the next question, the next few questions, they're about linear function. So what you have here in linear function, let me just move this so it can be in the same place. Linear function, we're talking about the equation of line. So here we have given table. So this is pretty much the value for the function. In the first row, you have the x's. In the second row, you have the f of x, which means the y coordinate. So it's given like two, you can take any 2 points from here. You can do -4, 1. You can do -3, 0. You can do -2, -1, any of those two x and y's. And then you're going to use the slope formula. This is the slope formula from algebra. y2 minus 1, 1 over x2 minus x1, which is right over run. You're going to plug the numbers, and this is how the number goes. The first one is x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it into the formula, and the slope is going to be -1. So we get the slope -1. And then after that, you're going to start with the equation y equals mx plus b. And you're plugging in x, y, and m from the point. So m, I'm using -1. And also, I'm going to use the point. This is where I'm using the point -3 and 0. So x is -3, y is 0. So I'm replacing y is 0 equals m is -1, x is -3, and then plus b. And I need to find what is b. When you solve it, so here you have -1 times -3, it's a +3. So that's why I subtract 3 in both sides. So these cancel. So I get b equals -3. After I find b, I can just write the equation. The equation is -1x minus 3. This is the function. This is the formula for the function. Okay, because that's what it says. Find the equation of the given linear function. And also they want me to find f of 0. What is f of 0? After I find the function, this is my function. F of 0 is just replacing x with 0. So it's going to be -1 times 0 minus 3 give me -3. So the answer is just -3 for the second answer they're asking. And here I just included these formulas from algebra. The slope and the linear equation. Okay, so that's how you're doing this. Number 14, and I include this is from this information here is from the formula sheet from algebra. If you remember, the slope is a number which tells us if the line is increasing, decreasing, horizontal, vertical. So if the slope is positive, we have increasing line, which means going up. If the slope is negative, the line is decreasing, going down left to right. If the slope is 0, we have horizontal. If the slope is undefined, we have vertical line. And also we have the equations of the line. So if you have equation with x and y, it's increasing or decreasing, which is mx plus b, the one we just talked about here, equation of line. See, in this equation, you have x and you have y. Okay, now if the equation have only x or only y, you have kind of exception, horizontal and vertical line. So equation of horizontal have only y in it, equation of vertical line has only x in it. So this is given. They give us this equation here, 7x plus 3 equals 0. We have to find the slope of that equation. How you find the slope? Looking at the equation have only x in that equation, right? There's no y. So that means you have vertical line, and vertical line has slope undefined, and that's the answer, undefined. You don't do anything here. You just look at the equation and you know that it's undefined. Okay, because have only x. If the equation have only y, is going to be horizontal and the slope is going to be 0, just the number 0. But in this case, for number 14, the answer is undefined. So I'm just going to type it in undefined. Okay. Number 15 is graph this equation. So how you graph it? Going to use the web assigned graphing utility, which looks like this. So what you're doing, you're going to click at the line here. I'm going to click at this one. You're going to graph a straight line, and then you need 2 points. So the points I pick are 0 and 1/7. 0 for x. So I pick 0 for x and 0 for y. We did this in algebra. So when I replace x with 0 in this equation, if x is 0, this is 0. 7 times 0 is 0, right? This should be 0. So I'm going to get negative 2y equals 1. This is what I have here. Then divide both sides by negative 2 and you get y equals 1/2. So that's how we get the y. The next point I'm going to pick is I have y equals 0. So when I replace y with 0, this is 0. 2 times negative 2y is 0, so it's not there. So I'm going to get 7x equals 1. Divide both sides by 7, and I get 1/7. That's how I get this 1/7. So those are the 2 points I need to click on, and it's going to graph the line for me. Okay, nothing else. Just graph the equation. The next one is another graph of the equation. Number 16 is another graph, and you do the same way. Now here, you don't put 0 for x and 0 for y because equation have only y. So what you're doing, you're going to solve for y. You're going to get y by itself when I divide both sides by 4. And you're going to get y equals 3/4. And how you graph it? You're going to click at this line here. And then you're going to click at any 2 points here. I just put 0 3/4 and 1 3/4. And that's my graph. Okay. The next one is number 17. And number 17, they give us 2 points. We just have to find the slope. We did that. I have the slope formula given. It's right there. And we have x1, y1, x2, y2 for the coordinates. And then plug it into the formula. And then you're going to get negative 3/0. Negative 3/0, it's undefined. That's what the answer is. The answer should be undefined. So if you have undefined slope, that means you have vertical line. Okay, that's all what you're doing here. Find the slope. The next one, 18, it says find the linear equation with a given property. So the equation, the line is going through 3 and 27, which is the first number is x, the second is always y, and they give me the slope, which is m. And again, I'm going to do the same I did. There's a question before when you find the equation. Start with y equals mx plus b, equation of line. You plug it in, y is 27, m is 9, x is 3 plus b. This is plus b, you have to find b. And you just solve it. 9 times 3, 27. Subtract 27 in both sides. These cancel, and you get 0. So you get b equals 0. After you get your b, you write the equation. Y equals, or f of x equals, or y of x equals 9x, because the slope is 9x plus 0, which is just 9x. You don't put plus 0 in this case, if it's 0. Okay? So that's how you do number 18. Number 19, it's a few. So let me move it down so I can have it in one page. And number 19, we have, this is given a table. They give us a table for the sale of cell phones here. And the average price in 2013, 2017. So this is the table which gives us the price and give us how many million cell phones they're selling each year, right? So what you have given, you have 2 points given. These are the points. In 2013, you have the price is 315 and $1,220. So those millions of cells. So this is the first point. And this is the second point. So from 2013, you're going to get the first point. from 2017, you're going to get the second point. So you have 2 points, you're going to find the equation. That's what you need to find. You need to find the linear equation, the demand equation. First, you're going to find the slope using those 2 points. So you're going to start with x1, y1, x2, y2. And you plug those into the slope formula. So we're going to get y2, which is 2,220 minus y1 is 1,220 over 215 minus 350. So that gives me, when you simplify, we get the slope is negative 10. That's the slope. And then using the equation mx plus b, we're going to use one of the points. I use the first one. We have y equals m is given, x is given, and we're going to find b again the same way. And we get b equals 4,370. And then you write the equation. The equation is equal negative 10p because the slope is negative 10. Now here it says q of p. So that means your x is technically p, not x. You're going to use the letter p instead of x because in the parentheses it says p. So it's going to be negative 10p plus 4,370 is the equation. So that's how you get the equation. And then the next one, use your demand equation to predict sales to the nearest million if the price is raised to 370, 395. So they give me the price, so using the equation I just get in this equation, I'm replacing P, the price is 395. So negative 10 times 395 plus 4,370 give me 420. So that's going to be the demand for that price. Okay. And then the next one, they're asking for every dollar increase in price, sales of this type of cell phone decreased by how many million? So every time they're asking about increasing or decreasing, every time they're asking about what is called also rate of change, increase or decrease per dollar per one, is the slope of the equation. So looking at my equation, what is in front of P? Negative 10. But because you know already it's decreased, that's why you don't put negative 10, you put 10. So it's decreasing every year with 10 million units. Okay, that's where you get the answer from. And then we have one more question here. Okay, so remember the increase or decrease, how much decrease or increase, you're going to get it from the slope, from the number in front of the P. And then number 20, we have during the period of 1990 and 2001, U.S. imports of pasta increased from 280 million pounds from 1990, an average of 35 million pounds per year. So we need to find the equation first. Because 280 is the starting point, that's the B, that's the y-intercept. So that's like a fixed cost. That's where you start from, 280. And then it's increasing with 35 per year. Per year means variable cost, 35 million each year. So that's why you have 35 times X, but instead of X, you're going to use T because that's what they have here. Okay? So that's the equation for the cell phone, no, for import of pasta in this question. And they're asking, the next one is use the equation we just get to find out what is the pasta import in 2016. Now we start counting from 1990. So if 1990 T is 0, we need to figure it out what is T for 2006, for year 2006. So to find t, we just subtract 2006 minus 9090, whatever you start the year starting point. So t is going to be 16 because you subtract 2006 minus 1990, that gives me 16 years from the beginning. So when I replace 16 in my equation, in this equation, the formula I have, replace t with 16, I'm going to get 280 plus 35 times 16. And then when I simplify this, I'm going to get 840 million pounds of imports of pasta. Okay? And that's actually the last question for this week 1. Okay? So if you guys have any questions, you can schedule team meetings with Microsoft Teams with me. I can explain a few more things if you need help. So if you have questions, just let me know. And have a wonderful day.